producing content is very important to build your content brand, but how do we actually use that content to get customers? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Breakthrough Success. I'm Marc, podcasting coach, and we have a really special guest who is joining us today. He is recognized as one of the top customer generators in the world, running a team that drives over 1 million customers each year. He runs a profitable portfolio of websites ranging from commerce to content blogs that combined reach millions of buyers each month. And he's consistently featured on those under 30-year-old type of lists. On one of those, he was featured alongside Snapchat's founder, Evan Spiegel, as one of the entrepreneurs that is changing the world. So our guest who joins us for this episode of Breakthrough Success is none other than Anthony Sarandrea. Anthony,
What's up, Marc?
welcome to the show.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me.
Anthony, I'm so happy to have you on Breakthrough Success. And creating content, I feel like that is something that we are all good at. Being able to get customers from our content is that important transition point that turns you from hobby into like real business money coming in. So can you talk a little bit about how we can transition from just produce a ton of content to really turning that into an engaging customer experience?
Yeah, great question. I think, a lot of people you hear, quantity. So they're like, you need to come out with X amount of blog posts, send X amount of emails, you need to be on these 15 different sites, things like that. And a lot of times you end up posting, about the office cat or about, things that are not relevant or not adding value to, whoever it is you're trying to get to buy something from you or to sign up for something or enroll in it or engage with you in a meaningful way. So it's very important, I think, to understand where in the funnel you're talking to people. So are you are you talking to cold customers? If so, what needs outside of just, what your service or your brand does, are you satisfying at even a higher level? So I guess like a real life example is, for us, we create shopping lists for people on different deals that happen when they go to Target and stuff like that. And we don't monetize that at all. I'm not Target. I don't do anything with that. How we help people is much further down the funnel, is helping them, get into debt relief programs or find the right insurance or fix their credit or whatever that is. But that top level funnel content actually has a very purposeful place in their life, and it's still related to someone's finances. So it's not us saying, let's take a picture with the team and check this out. Not that that's bad, but the content that we're producing creative is adding value in the same sphere or space as to what we actually are looking to sell to someone.
And it's interesting to think from the perspective of who you're trying to attract. Like, are you attracting a beginner? Are you attracting like an intermediate or advanced? And what type of does the content you're creating align with the type of person you're trying to attract? And that's just part of forming that strategy to get customers with your content. And none of this works though unless you actually get people to the content. So what has been best for you to get eyeballs and attention for your content?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that for hours, but I'd say that the best places that we've actually started to get eyeballs is, or I'd say a different, unique place than most people are thinking, are looking at strategic relationships online. So sites that essentially are ranking for where my customer is hanging out. So, people look at like a Google as, okay, if you're a DUI lawyer, okay, I want to rank for DUI lawyer, but what other terms around that customer, that's a silly example, but what other terms around that customer are they searching for that now I can add value to and move them down? So really it's kind of, again, getting back to that shopping list example, if there's a site that ranks number one for, deals at Target, can I get them to promote my debt relief program, or can I get them to promote something on there? Because I'm essentially realizing that that's the same customer. They're making a very much less competitive search than debt consolidation or something like that I want to show up for. It's far less competitive, but it's the same person. And now I'm able to get in there and I'm able to share my content to them and say, hey, can you share this to your community on that actual listing that's showing number one for those searches? Can you promote my stuff there? And it's a great way to start driving customers through really blue ocean, because everyone's competing for their, main keywords, podcast coaches or something like that. But what else are people looking for a podcast coach, what else are they looking for? Maybe it's, entrepreneurial memes, stuff like that. And now the guy who ranks #1 for entrepreneurial memes, you're throwing a link or something over to you or a banner ad. But again, we can go deeper in anything social as well too. But that's just one way that a lot of brands or people are not looking at getting in front of their target customer, and they're ignoring.
And I really like the strategic approach also. It's one of the reasons I do all my podcasts, all my virtual summits, because I get to meet people like Anthony and we get to know each other and build relationships. So I am all for strategic relationships. I like how Anthony mentioned, don't just think your niche, think like something that could be like a little bit of an offshoot. So like using the podcast coach example, you can find, let's say, a Facebook ad expert. Maybe there's a connection there. So being able to think like that, where you've got synergies going on instead of like just competing against other people, can really help you expand. Now, I mentioned earlier that you have this whole portfolio of websites. How did you get from, just one website and creating content there to that whole portfolio?
Yeah, I'd say, well, first thing just to piggyback off your point is, when we had our internet marketing agency, everybody was focused on selling a dentist, a doctor, or this, where we focused on, a videography agency, a sales consultant, stuff we didn't do, a PR agency, stuff like that. And we'd go try and make strategic relationships with them because we'd get plugged into 5-10 clients overnight versus, the one-off doctor or lawyer. And it was the same exact amount of work. So I think you're absolutely right with however you can apply that to where you're at today, is looking for those strategic relationships that people are ignoring or not spending time with. Like I joke, I'll go to conferences and I spend time all the time with the software companies that are trying to sell people while everyone else is running because they're like, I don't want to get sold by this guy. I'm like, I want to be his best friend because he plugs into all the people that I want to work with essentially. So I think you nailed it dead on. And then to your question, as far as multiple sites, I think one challenge with even that line right there is, I think a lot of people, especially early on, and me too, you get shiny object syndrome. So you think you need to be doing 9 different things to be successful, or 15. Like I built that over 10 years and each one really is like at least a year of just deep work focused just on that until I'm able to hire a team around it or whatever it is. But, this idea of, how many sites do you have? I have 15, or, how many different companies, I hear people at coffee shops, I run 4 different companies. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. I'm like, you're not focused. You're not focusing on one thing and going deep. So I almost want to not even answer that question because I'm afraid people listening are going to be like, that's the goal, or what I should go for is to have multiple things, because really it's like seeing Kobe hit a game-winning shot. Like, you don't see him in the gym for 6 hours before the game shooting that same shot over and over again. So, if I say, I'm just confident when I came out there and took it versus, it took me, 5 hours before the game to be able to hit that shot. That's really where the magic's made, is where, each one of those, sites that I mentioned or companies that I run now, again, takes at least a year of just deep work focus on that company while the other ones are running, and I'm still involved with those. But even then, like it's too much. I even catch myself trying to offload sites or things. And, I just recently went through it about 6 months ago, offloading a lot of websites that I owned or companies that I had joint ventures in or things like that. And I didn't even care. I was like, hang on to the equity, take it, doesn't matter, because I need to just focus on what's going to continue to compound on itself and make more and more money, have more and more impact, and have more of my mind share.
We've got more great content coming up in this episode, but first we have a message from our sponsor.
Have you wanted to train your dog but didn't know how or even where to begin? The book from Northern California renowned dog trainer and author Steve Ryder, From Sit To Gundog, is the resource you have been looking for. From Sit To Gundog has been a year in the making. This must-read book was written for anyone looking to train their next hunting or family companion. From basic obedience training to hunt training, From Sit To Gundog takes you every step of the way. Steve Ryder has always said that beside every well-trained dog is a happy and and proud owner. From Sit To Gundog is perfect for every dog owner and makes a great gift for the dog lovers in your life. From Sit To Gundog, from author and dog trainer Steve Ryder, is available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and the website dogsofthefeather.com. Available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. Order your copy right now. From Sit To Gundog, from author and dog trainer Steve Ryder.
And it's interesting when you approach it that way, because you don't want to, I get the idea, be focused. And there is a point where you may want to sell. Like if it's your like own personal brand, like marcberry.com, I would never sell that because that's me. But if you've got like so many different e-commerce stores, then it makes sense to sell some of them if it becomes too much. Yeah. I know you don't want to go deep into the question, but can you share with us, because you were focused on your first thing, and then when did you decide you were ready to expand and then go on to other things?
Yeah, I think they all kind of overlap in a lot of ways, which I'm very proud of. So it's not running. I don't have a bakery shop and then a law firm, and like they all kind of talk to each other. So it started very much like consulting for people on how to do marketing, and then it moved to an agency. Got it. Now I do an agency. Then it moved to, owning site instead of doing work for like your podcast to show up for podcast coaching. Like I would own my own sites that would show up for podcast coaching. Then I start selling my own courses or my own stuff around it versus, you renting my services. Now it's moved on to the stuff that I was pitching. I'm actually doing the work. So it's been essentially moving up the kind of value chain each time. And then those lower businesses further down the value chain, I'm still, it'd be like you owning like a book publishing company. Eventually you got all the books behind you, but they all kind of talk and play with each other in a lot of ways and share a lot of resources. That's the only reason why I'm able to have multiple things going on, because really like they're only little 10%, 20% variances around the clock. But to be, you hear people, I'm a crypto guy and then I'm a real estate agent and then I'm here. It's like, no, it's not, so.
And Anthony brings up a great point. You can diversify. It is good to diversify streams of income, because if you've got all of your income hedged on one spot and that income stream disappears, you're back down to zero. While if you're diversified, it's less of a big deal if one of them dries up, but you don't want to be the real estate guy, the crypto guy, the everything guy. You want to find things that connect with what it is you're doing. So I definitely like that approach a lot.
Sweet. Love it, bro.
So for people who maybe they're just getting started, because we all have that, just getting started, what advice would you have for them to get their first customer?
Yeah, I would say, so advice specific for in general is fail fast. So I think a lot of times when you're starting off with your business, you've got the, I joke, I call it the mom approach, where you go, what do you think about this? And I love it, honey. I love it. Meanwhile, it could be absolute shit. But going out there and not being afraid to show your baby child to someone and be like, it's ugly. You're like, what specifically is ugly? Oh, okay. I'll fix that. Fix this. Boom. What about now? That's really important to get raw feedback from people on your business, your idea, what's going on, and start getting traction. And then really, again, too, it's not a X's and O's, go wave a sign on the side of the road. It's really a simple equation. It's finding someone who's doing what you want to do in your space and hounding them and stalking them until you actually get to talk to them. So for you, if you're, I'm sure you're already well accomplished as a podcast, expert. I would be trying to get to Joe Rogan. I'd be trying to do everything I can. And maybe you fall, to a B-level person right below that. But, your goal really should be talking to them, because I could give a generic answer to drive customers, but for those listening, you and your industry, there's somebody already doing it, and they're already doing it really well, and they have all the answers, and it's like my biggest mentor said, I never want to be first to market. I always want to be second, because the first guy spends thousands of hours and millions of dollars to figure out that there's a need. The next guy comes, just has to do it 1% better, and you're going to go buy his product or work with his service. So same principle I think applies here. If you can go really download what's taken someone like Joe Rogan 30 years to do, and millions of dollars or however much, time, effort, energy, you can download that in one conversation. That it's, it's $1 million hour, $1 million conversation. So there's sites like clarity.fm is a great one where you can pay experts for their time on a per minute basis. Is a great place to look. And honestly, I used to, and I should get back to it more. I used to reach out to people, once a week. I would try and get a meeting with someone who was above me in whatever category I wanted to be in, whether it was fitness, philanthropic, business, whatever that was, because they're better than me, and I want to learn how and why they did it and how they got there and how they got their first customer. Because if you're a podcast expert versus a guy listening who's a personal gym trainer, there's no one generic answer. That's the closest high-arching answer I can give to someone trying to figure out how to get their first customer.
Yeah, and I totally get, there's different tactics, but this is one of those, this is the foundation. This is where you get used to meeting people who have moved further along the journey than you. You get used to hanging out with people who are doing what you want to do, and then you learn from them, and then you figure out how you get a ton of customers. That is such a great gem from this episode. Anthony, for people who want to follow you on your journey and check out your work, where do we go?
I'm pretty active on Instagram. It's just my first and last name, or Google search my name, come to my website, and I do this for fun. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have through the contact form. I get a handful of those a day, and I try and respond to all of them that come through. So just happy to help out in any way I can.
We will have those links down in the show notes. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us on Breakthrough Success. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you, bro.